My next guest, though, I'm very excited to talk to you. You guys know that we know how to pick the guests here. And Dion Metzger.
Dion.
Oh, my God. I was so excited about the last name, getting it right.
Yeah, you did get the last name perfect.
Dion. Hi, Dion.
Hi.
Dion Metzger. The book is called, listen to this, you guys, because you know you want to order it right now, okay? The Modern Trophy Wife, How to Achieve Your Life Goals While Thriving at Home. This book is awesome. Why did you want to write it?
Thank you. You know, we were living it, and we were trying to balance career and motherhood, and we realized that a lot of our patients were having this issue with balance. And we were like, you know what? Let's talk about the modern day career woman who is trying to have the children and have the career, but also is not sacrificing their happiness. So we decided to build a guide for it.
That's smart, because over the course of my life, especially, of course, when I had Evan, for 16 years, one of the main questions I get in every single interview is, how do you balance it?
All the time.
How do you balance everything? I go, you know what? It's like a seesaw. Like
Oh, exactly.
You put a lot into work, and you have to be okay with it, accept it, and then you go, you know, I'm going to put a lot into mommy right now. You're still connected, but you can't feel guilty when they go kind of.
Because it's going to rock.
It's going to rock.
Absolutely.
It's really hard to keep it just perfectly even.
It's impossible.
Because, you know, sometimes, and I think working moms and even stay-at-home moms can relate, it's nice to get away from the children. Like there's that relief, you know? So we can't do it all.
And it's necessary for us to have the break. Because when you don't have that time to yourself, that self-care, you'll burn out.
I mean, I find myself crabbier with my kid if I don't go and take care of myself or do things on my own. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Me too. My husband knows it. Like if I'm just like especially irritable, it's because I didn't have a time out for me.
That's right.
It's natural.
Stay-at-home moms, I give all the credit in the world because
I salute you.
I mean, there's
really
not
do.
a job harder.
I can't imagine it because even on maternity leave, I was like, how do people do this?
I don't know.
It's amazing. I salute you.
I mean,
you stay-at-home moms.
I needed a reason to shave my legs and armpits at least.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have one when I was stayed at home with Evan for a long time, you know?
It's easy to not even shower some days.
Some days I'm still in that category. Again, the book is called The Modern Trophy Wife. There's a section that I really related to, and I want to bring up because I know I have girlfriends that are knee-deep shit in it right now.
Okay.
And that is developing a response to boundary violations.
Oh, I'm all about that.
Oh, my God. Okay, let's just first back up and talk about boundaries in general. If someone's like, what do you mean by boundaries in my marriage?
Saying no when you can't do something and asking for help. Because like as moms or as wives, we feel like we should be able to do it all. And we're usually the caretaker and the one that everybody comes to for help. But just saying, no, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't make all these engagements. I can't do everything. But it's just being able to balance it and say, you know, I can't do it.
No was something that took me in my 30s.
Me too.
Late 30s, I finally learned. And then Byron Katie, a spiritual teacher, taught me not to use the word but about anything. Just go, you know what? I love you and no.
You don't even have to give an excuse.
Yeah.
You just say, no, or I'm not going to be able to do that.
And it's
That's my favorite one.
And people, you know, we're energy and they actually resonate to your truth versus, oh, you know what, maybe I can do it and then flaking at the last minute.
No, you don't even leave room for them to ask a question. You just say, no, I'm not going to be able to do it. And the thing is, they won't follow up and keep asking you after that. They'll respect it and say, okay, she said no.
Right.
And doesn't need to justify it.
Now, when talking about develop a response to boundary violations, get into detail a little bit more about that.
Boundary violations is just like in terms of relationships, like inappropriate relationships where people try to take the place of your husband or, you know, friends or just people who are just trying to take other positions in your life that you can't handle. Like if you're my coworker, I can't be the go-to person every time you're stressed out.
That's for sure.
I just can't. I can't handle all these different roles and then have people kind of like violating boundaries with me to the point that it's almost offensive or it's just exhausting me.
Exhausting.
Really?
I call them like energy vampires.
Yeah.
You know,
because they suck the life out of you.
They suck the life out of you. And there's, you know, as you get older, you recognize people that are stuck in the victim mode. And
they never get out of it.
And they're creating their circumstances. I can literally watch them create their circumstance where they become a victim.
And it's almost like they like being the victim because they do it all the time. And it's like a
yeah.
cycle, subconscious.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's like a way to get attention. It's like,
oh, yeah.
almost that sick Munchausen in a weird way.
Yeah. And I actually see it a lot in my practice, people who struggle with like anxiety and depression because they're always in the victim mode.
I mean, how does one get out of that?
First of all, realizing that you're playing that role, the insight.
Awake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to, realizing, okay, I need to get out of this.
Yeah, recognizing it. This is another favorite section of my book. In your book? My book. I've already claimed it.
I love it.
The modern trophy wife. Independence versus interdependence versus codependence. So 6 signs of an independence in a relationship. Okay, so listen to this. You try to manage everything on your own. Sound familiar? Mm-hmm. You do not feel comfortable asking for emotional or financial support. That was me in every relationship forever because I thought I was relinquishing control. I felt more in control if I was. So I would always date the unemployed guy, you know?
And were you exhausted doing that?
Exhausted.
Yeah, that's what happens.
And then it turned into I'm dating a child. Mm-hmm. You know, and even when I had dated someone with money, I still wouldn't let them pay for dinner.
What?
It was weird. It was really, I've grown so much since then.
I'm proud of you. That's good.
I know.
Yeah.
And my husband's so wonderful. This is another sign. You have a hard time accepting your partner's opinions.
That's a big one.
Right?
That's a really big one because, I mean, especially if you're parenting too, if it's always about you and what you want, first of all, the person's going to start getting resentful, your partner. Mm-hmm. And then it's just not really a marriage. If you are not incorporating each other's opinions into your decisions.
A partnership. And it's amazing how much we take baggage from old relationships.
And we don't even realize we're doing it.
No. I mean, I've caught myself so many times going, wait a minute, he's not my ex. Yes. It's not the same thing,
and you'll be
Jenny.
getting angry about things that they didn't even do. And you're
right?
like, oh, that's from the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the good one, Jenny.
This is the good one.
Don't fuck it up. Another one is you do not like being held accountable to your partner.
Yeah. You got to take it, when you mess up, you just got to say, you know what? It's on me. I messed up. And humble yourself. I think that's huge in compare, like also being able to compromise, but humble yourself when you do wrong and just say, you know what? I messed up, and hold yourself accountable.
100%. And this also doesn't mean, and I've been there before, I'll just take the accountability because I want everyone I just want to shut up and not fight.
I just want it to end.
I mean, there is the higher level, which is you don't need to be right. When you get to that place of like, I don't need to be right.
In my 20s, I had to be right all the time.
Really?
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm out of that.
Right?
Yeah, it was like an ego thing.
Of course. Mm-hmm. Of course. You do not incorporate your partner into all areas of your life. You do not consider the dreams and goals of your partner. That's big.
I don't even understand how people can work like that. Because especially if you're that intimate in terms of sharing your dreams, but you don't listen to theirs, like how does that even work?
Do you notice in your research that it's different with men and women? Do women do it more to men? Do men do it more to women?
Well, what we're seeing is that I see it men do it more to women. That's what I've noticed, unfortunately.
I call it, my listeners are like, we know what you call it, but clipping your wings instead of fluffing them.
Yeah.
So I've had so many clippers where I'm like, you ain't clipping no more.
Right.
I want to fly.
And that's what this book was about, was trying to reach those dreams.
That's what I love about this. It's like having your dreams in your journey and walking side by side. Mm-hmm. Together into the future. Yes. Okay. 6 signs of interdependent relationship. You feel free to express yourself in the relationship. What a wonderful freedom to be able to do that.
Isn't it great?
It is so fucking awesome.
And just say whatever word you want to say about whatever you want to say.
How you feel about it.
I love it.
I mean, in our 20s, that's why I'm so grateful to be out of that time. But you really morph yourself into what you think that person wants you to be. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years later, you hate them.
In my 20s, I went through this phase where I was trying to be older and thinking I was ready to settle down when I wasn't. Oh. So I would say, oh, no, I don't want to go out. I'm fine staying home. And I'm a work hard, play hard kind of person. But I was making myself into something that I wasn't.
Girl, I think we're a lot alike.
I see.
Yeah, I dated a 50-year-old when I was 22.
Oh, wow.
Just to stay home and watch Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, you're bored.
I'm like, I'm gonna be wise and grounded and stay home.
That's what I thought too.
And then I'm like, oh, I need to go
we got bored.
Yep. Mm-hmm. These are more signs of interdependent relationship. You do not feel that you have to change your identity within the relationship.
Oh, that one's huge.
You have a healthy balance of togetherness versus alone time. Right. You feel respected and supported in the relationship. You're able to manage conflict in a healthy manner. You are able to have your own dreams and goals in a relationship. Now, as I read those, if people are listening right now going, well, I don't have that in my relationship, what do?
Talk about it. And also couples therapy. I'm a therapist, so I'm going to have to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, if you feel like you're not being heard and your goals are, you're not reaching the goals that you want to based on the relationship, I say, talk about it and have somebody, have a professional there.
100%.
It never hurts.
I mean, no offense, guys who are listening, but sometimes you can be like Fred Flintstone. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, just especially coming home from work. I can relate to coming home from work too, but coming from work and it's just like, shut up. Give me a beer. Give me a drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just want to relax.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this is 6 signs of a codependent relationship.
Yeah, that one's big too.
This was my cross to bear in this lifetime. You feel like you can't live without your mate.
Yes.
You feel like your mate could not make it without you. It's ego.
That's ego again.
You feel your mate controls you. Oh my God, I'm having flashbacks. Mm-hmm. You feel that you're constantly giving and not receiving. Oh my God.
Paying for dinner all the time.
Sacrificing your wants and needs. Mm-hmm. You never pick the restaurant you want. You never pick the movie you want.
Your wings are clipped.
You're running hot baths before they come home from work.
Oh, wow. You were doing that?
I was doing it all.
Oh, wow.
And then, not receiving. Mm-hmm. But I was also, in hindsight, I can go like, damn it. But I wasn't expecting it back. Mm-hmm. But that, I don't think, is healthy either. It should be a balance.
Right. Because that's why you felt exhausted, because you were constantly giving and just always doing for them, and you just weren't getting it back.
Oh, my God. And how about, having to, fluff egos in a relationship?
And that's a constant thing. So if you get into that mode where you're always having to boost the ego, it never stops. They're constantly going to need that reassurance and coming to you and saying, okay, what do you think? And then it's almost like it's... because they don't realize their worth, and they always have to come to you, and that's not a good cycle either.
No, it's not. Your happiness depends on the state of your relationship.
Yep.
I mean, I feel so many people listening to the car right now going, "Oh my God!" or at work.
It does.
I mean,
happy wife, happy life. That's where that comes from.
It's so true.
It's really true, because it determines the tone of everything. You'll be cranky at work with your friends. If your relationship isn't right, your whole world.
I know. And I know there's that saying, and I think you have it in here, is that, you have to make your own self happy. You really can't rely on other people. Mm-hmm. But even if I've gotten in a fight with Donnie, it's like, I can't be happy until we've solved something.
Yeah.
That's
the whole don't go to bed angry thing too.
Yeah. I know. Mm-hmm. The next one of codependent relationships, you feel you need the other person to take care of you. Does that mean dependent-wise?
Dependent-wise. Because, of course, in relationships, you take care of each other, but to the point that they have to do everything for you, and you can't do anything independently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would someone start? Because those are big steps.
Huge steps.
I mean, it took me decade and a half to get there. I feel like we're going through a time where the consciousness of the planet is changing, so people can change quicker. Mm-hmm. Besides reading your book,
yes,
The Modern Trophy Wife.
Yep.
Give us some tips. How does someone make those big leaps?
First of all, recognizing it. So the first thing is saying, okay, listen, we keep going, hitting this wall in the relationship, and being open in terms of talking about it and saying, listen, I want to be able to be able to do things on my own and still be able to have a healthy relationship with you. You got to get some hobbies. You got to put self-care as a priority. You got to learn yourself. So you got to find your own happy. Because what happens is when people get completely absorbed in their relationship and they get into this codependent state,
they lose themselves.
They lose themselves. They isolate themselves from their friends. They don't do the things that they used to do. It's like something like yoga, like where you used to do that once or twice a week. And now because you're so happily in love, you're like, I don't have time for that anymore. No, actually, because you're so happy, you should be doing that.
Totally.
So keeping your sense of identity by whether it's your friends, whether it's the things that you like to do, or even your career goals, because I've seen women, if they're ready to get married, they're like, you know what? All I'm focusing on right now is my relationship and when he's going to propose. And they put sometimes their career stuff on hold. That promotion that they were trying for, they're like, you know what, that could wait after the wedding. You know, there's no reason for things to take the back seat just because you're working on your relationship.
God, that's so true.
Yeah.
In a healthy relationship, too, communication is key. There seems to always be one partner that shuts down. They lose their voice. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to use their voice. So, and I've seen it with men. I've seen it with women. What does one do besides couple therapy? Because I think that's number one.
Yes.
If you have a partner and you can't break through and you're like, can you just talk to me? Mm-hmm. And they sometimes don't even know how to communicate it.
Right.
You got to go to couples therapy.
Yeah. And then even just talking to them, just like paying attention to how you speak to them. Because when I do therapy with couples, one of the major things of why the other person shuts down is because they feel offended or they feel like they're being yelled at or disrespected.
So it's about your delivery.
It's your delivery. So once you say you like work on your delivery, you'll be surprised just by the way you say things. Instead of accusing them, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. How about we do this?
It's so true.
It's all about your words.
I remember because I'm such a believer in it that when Donnie first and I started dating, we were in that dopamine. We're still in it, by the way. But in this wonderful place, I said, let's go before any problems because I want to form I want to establish a set of communication, some skills. So if we run into something, we can always have this now system to go to. And it's been it's the healthiest relationship
Isn't
I've
it
ever
a game
had.
changer?
Game changer.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? And so to go in even before there's a problem is great. But I asked literally the therapist, I said, give me, because I had trouble using my words, but finding the right way to say something, like you said.
The delivery.
So, I mean, you can ask your therapist for certain ways of like, okay, so how can I say this? And I would literally pull it out of my phone and go through my notepads.
Oh, yeah. My patients take notes and they'll like,
yes.
They have it on an index card sometimes. Like, okay, we're going to work on communication. This is how I'm going to say it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if someone like, if there's a runner, there's always maybe a runner in one of the relationships.
Because it's the reflex for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's, my therapist was like, if that ever happens, you can only go 5 minutes before the other person you have to meet up and say, if you need more time, but I'm just checking in. You can't let it go 2 hours, 3 hours, 24, because then just resentment, stories in your head start going.
And you're exhausted emotionally because you're just saying the same things over and over again. You're not making any progress.
Mm-mm. So in terms of having it all, business, motherhood, great wife, what do you say about it?
It's possible. And you shouldn't have to sacrifice your happiness to have it all. A lot of people think that, either I have a great career, but I can't be a great wife, or I'm a great mother, but I can't have this thriving career. You can have it all. It's just by setting boundaries, keeping your sense of identity, and self-care is so huge. You don't have to sacrifice your joy by winning in all these different categories.
It's so true. And Evan, my son, who I love more than anything in the world, I'll say I'm going to work. And he says, well, you love work more than you love me. And so that would have set me back where I would have quit, stayed home and just been, stayed home. And I said, you know what? Mommy feels so good when she goes to work. And then I get to come back and I'm happy mommy. You see me
love you more.
Yeah. I go, you see me as crabby mommy. Yeah. And then I'm come home happy mommy.
When mommy doesn't work, it's no good.
So I said, you gotta just trust me and see the difference. And of course he still misses me, but he goes, I know you're happy and you love it. Can't wait to see you when you come back. And I feel like, okay, I explained it enough. I don't carry the guilt.
No, there's no reason to.
No. And I have a husband that supports me.
Yeah.
That's kind of communication. Set those boundaries. Keep them. Self-care.
There you go.
Couples therapy. Or you could just get the book 'cause it's in there. Help me. Hold on. Dion.
There you go.
It would have been better if there was an E. Can you tell your mom?
And, it's actually the guy's way of spelling it, too. So it makes it different.
Oh, my God. That's so funny.
Yeah.
I'm such an asshole. Dion Metzger. I got to tell you, I want you to come back because I love this book so much.
Of course.
The Modern Trophy Wife, you guys. Pick it up. I know you guys are buying it right now. I can't wait to see how high it climbs. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's take a photo and be right back, guys.
Okay, wonderful.